All right, welcome, guys. This is Breakfast with the Brand. I am your host, Junior Frederick, and you are now tuned into the number one podcast in the world for entrepreneurs and leaders who want to go from bland to industry leading brand. If you are now tuned in live, we need you to do three things. Number one, put some flames in the chat. Number two, let us know where you're listening in from. And number three, of course, please share this podcast. So I have with me Shan Raiz, the king of branding himself, this morning, coming to you live from an undisclosed location, which he will disclose in a minute. It's gonna be a great show, guys. Definitely share this out, put some flames, put in your locations, and let's get started. Welcome, welcome, Shan.
Thank,
Phenomenal morning, brother.
well, thank you for having me. I greatly appreciate the invite. Yeah, definitely. It's always phenomenal, to be here, right? It's always phenomenal, especially when I'm traveling, to tune in live and be able to share the travels and the experiences with the phenomenal people. That's the goal. The goal is to share the experience. You know, um, it's been surreal. It really has. It's been surreal. The last few days have been absolutely surreal.
Yes, sir. I noticed a change in the background there a little bit. So tell us a little bit about your travels. We know you're on the road. The last time I checked, I went to the website. I think it was on Thursday, and I noticed you had speaking gigs all the way until November, I think.
Yeah, yeah. We tight. We got business, and honestly, like we're negotiating next year already. So we're probably into February, March of next year. And before we put them on the site, we're just hammering out some details. But that's what you want to do. You always want to have what is called as a pipeline, right? You always want to have business in a pipeline and a pipeline of recurrent, consistent business so that you don't run out of fuel, right? So right now we're in New York, right? And we did a lot in the last few days. We're doing the documentary, Crickets to Digits, industry leading brand from Bland. We're doing a lot. We did the This Is 50, right? So for those of you who knew we was going to do This Is 50, we've done This Is 50. So we was there. It was a great session. Big ups to 50 Cent for having, the brand come through. Greatly appreciate that. Phenomenal look, the blending and the combination of hip hop, real hip hop, real. I gotta just put the disclaimer on it, right? Like the old Harlem. You know how I used to put the old Harlem on. I gotta put the disclaimer on the old Harlem and not the new Harlem. So the hip hop, genuine hip hop, and personal and professional development, right? And I spoke about it with June Archer while we were doing the interview. We did multiple interviews, but while we was doing the interview, we talked about when brands collide and then when brands align, right? So there's a
Mm.
difference when brands collide and when brands align. So we had one of those when brands align moments, and that's what it was. We did that. I went back to my old block, like my old haunts, 145th Street between 7th and Lenox, and we actually ended it off yesterday at the fish spot, right? Famous fish. I always talk about famous fish. I always talk about the fish spot on 145th Street in St. Nicholas. Guys, if you are on this planet, not you ain't got to be in New York. If you are on this planet, do not miss famous fish. Like one time in your life, you have got to go to 145th Street in Harlem and St. Nicholas Avenue and get this fish sandwich. It'll absolutely transform your life. So that's what we've been doing, man. That's what we've been doing.
Man, I'm listening to you speak, and I'm wondering, honestly, like, what is it? And guys, just so you know, I've been hearing Shan talk about this fish sandwich for the past 3 years. 3 years. He's been talking about this fish sandwich. And I remember the story about, I think it was Pan Pan. You were telling me about
Yeah.
Pan Pan. And
Oh,
that that stuff. So I'm
listen,
wondering, what
watch
tell us
this.
more about that experience. I'm honestly curious about.
Watch this, Junior.
Yeah.
Watch this. And this is honest, guys. Like, there's some things that you got to do now, right? There's some things that you have to do now. There's some things that you can't wait for. People always say, well, I'll get around to it. I'll do this or I'll go to the next one. When is the next one going to be? We doing the B2B. People are like, oh, well, I'll do the next one. Hey, do it how you do it. However, one thing I do know is that if you didn't go and get Pan Pan when people recommended it on 135th and Lennox, where Diddy and Alicia shot that video, at Pan Pan, it was an iconic cultural epicenter. In the morning, chicken and waffles, like you had all of the mindsets. You had the young entrepreneurs, you had the politicians, you had the jazz players, you had Harlem's finest, you had New York's finest, you had New Jersey's finest, you had all of the people come together and congregate in this one area in the morning. And if you missed it, you don't have that opportunity anymore. It actually burned down to the ground and it hasn't been rebuilt since. And nothing else has even graced that space because it was one of those sacred spaces. Nothing has been built there. So when I tell you, go get that fish while you can, go get that fish while you can. And when I tell you we're doing the first business to brand boot camp, get that ticket while you can. Let's go to that good old commercial. I think we got a signal. Got to pay some bills.
All right, guys, welcome back. This is Breakfast with the Brand, the number one podcast in the world for entrepreneurs and leaders who want to go from bland industry leading brand. All right, Shan. So we are diving into a little bit of history this morning, but before we do, I do want to send a quick shout out to everybody listening.
Yeah, definitely.
So I see Shade. So Shade, phenomenal morning. Also see. So we have some people on Facebook. Good morning to you. I can't see who it is, but just know you have, we definitely send a shout out to you.
Identify,
Unfortunately,
identify yourself.
identify yourself. Yes, yes. All right, I see Rona. So Rona, phenomenal morning. Coach B, phenomenal morning. And we have a few other folks on Facebook. You may want to just put your names in the chat. And also, if you tune in live, don't forget to share this podcast. Share it up with as many people as possible. All right. Also, I see Tamika. So, Tamika, phenomenal morning to you. Okay, excellent. All right, Sean. So, tell us more. I saw a live yesterday. In fact, I saw two lives. I saw Mr. B go live, and then I saw you go live. So, tell us about that. It seemed as if you were sort of walking down. Is that your old block you were
If
on?
that's the one you saw, yeah, you definitely did. We were so blessed. We walked through another part of history, 145th Street between 7th and Lenox. We actually walked all the way up to St. Nicholas, but you probably saw the live when we were on 145th Street between 7th and Lenox. That's where I grew up, right? That's where I grew up. We did a lot of shots. We shot a piece of the documentary there. It was just iconic, man. It was really iconic. The beautiful thing is, watch this, guys. Everything I do is organic. Everything I do is organic. So I felt some way like I wanted to reach out to some people and let them know that I was coming, but I said nope, because if everything we do is organic, then it has to be organic. So in the spirit of keeping everything transparent, clarified, and 100% authentic, I didn't let anyone know that I was coming, and I just popped up on the block after decades, right? And I promise you, it was like I never left. I actually saw people that I grew up with. I saw other people who watched me grow up. I saw younger people who were grown now. I saw places of commerce that were no longer existent, some that were, and new centers of commerce and profit centers. And actually, we had a phenomenal, and you'll see it. You guys will see. That's why I'm talking about it. We had a phenomenal meeting of minds at a cultural center where young people were actually preparing for a rally because a young man had died on Rikers Island.
Mm,
So when I tell you that it was really like a wake up call, but and a reminder, a reflective space for me. I mean that in every meaning of the word, reflective space.
nice. So, Sean, my next question would be, how does that sort of tie into what you do today? Like coming from Harlem.
It's everything. It's everything that I do today. It's for the I carry Harlem on my shoulders. And a lot of people don't understand that. And a lot of people are just trying to get money. And that's why they'll never be successful in business. You have to think about what you represent. You have to think about where you come from. You have to think about your morals, your values, and your principles, the fabric and the substances that go into your character, why you do what you do. I always say change your why into a who. So we always talk about why we do what we do, and this is my why, and it's my why, and I'm all about the why, but make the why a who. Make the why a who, and you'll remain true. You won't falter when things get rough. When things get hard, if what you're trying to get is a Mercedes Benz, you're gonna stop. When things get hard, if what you're trying to do is crack $100,000, you're going to stop. If you're in business right now and you're wondering why you're not making money and why this isn't successful and why that's not successful, look at some of your goals. Look at some of your goals. If your goals are things, that's why you're not successful. If your whys are materialistic, self-centric, selfish, and self-centered, that's why your business isn't flush or Trump right now. You need to change your what's into who's and your goals into experiences that don't only include you. When you do that, then you'll begin to be successful because God will bless your business because it won't be all about you.
That's very interesting. I think a lot of people can relate to that. In fact, put it in the chat. How many of you do what you do because of a who? Put a number one in the chat if you do what you do because of a who. So there's a particular person that you're doing this for. If you know what that feels like, put it in the chat, put a number one. if you know what that feels like. But Shan, it's very interesting, right? So from Harlem, you always say I'm just a kid from Harlem, right? Why Brandon though? That's an interesting question. Why Brandon? So you could have gone anywhere. I mean, you could have done anything. Why why Brandon?
You know, it's so interesting because I was asked that question. So I've got a video coming, like reels are coming for that right there, for that question right there. But why would I do branding and I come from Harlem? Harlem is the epicenter of branding. Harlem is the epicenter of fashion and branding and fashion sense. Like, I love every borough, right? So every borough gets love and respect from me. But when it came to like new fashion or new trends, everybody looked to Harlem. Everybody looked to Harlem and 125th Street specifically. Mike Tyson had his rumble and tumble with Mitch Green on 125th Street. He's from Brooklyn. The reason why he was in Harlem was because Harlem is the epicenter. You had to come to Harlem to get fresh, right? To get fresh. Dapper Dan, you had to come to Harlem to get fresh. It didn't make a difference where you was from. You was from Philly, Delaware, Florida. Everybody knew Harlem, 125th Street. When you got some money in your pocket, you woke up, it was your birthday, it was Christmas, it was whatever it was. If you had a little bit of bread in New York and you wanted to get fresh, you came to Harlem, 125th Street. It's called the
I
Players,
saw
man. You had to come. Like you couldn't bypass Harlem. If you had to come to Harlem, I don't care what kind of money you was trying to get. If you was in politics, like if you was an entrepreneur, if you was political, if you was anything, you had to come to Harlem. And in Harlem, the brothers had the swag. Yeah, the brothers had the swag. They made it look good. Not many places. Listen, so we as a people make things look good, right? So think of slavery and what we did with the leftovers and the throwaways. We made it look good. We made it taste good, and we came up. So it's the same thing in Harlem. A lot of times we didn't have a lot, but what we did have, we maximized and optimized. So why not branding? This is what we've been doing since we've been here.
yeah, so what I hearing you say is basically it was like this pool of creativity.
Oh yeah, music, fashion, yeah, yeah, music, fashion, everybody. It didn't make a think about music. Think about hip hop. It didn't make a difference where you was from. Your first video, you shot it in Harlem. I think of Eric B. and Rakim. Their first video shot in Harlem on 125th Street. The Apollo was on 125th Street. It didn't make a difference. If you was Michael Jackson in the Jackson 5, when you made it, you came to Harlem. Like that was the crown prince. If you didn't come to Harlem, then you wasn't really doing too much. So you had to come through Harlem. Harlem crowned you. You came to Harlem. Now you doing some things. If you
Wow.
made it, yeah, if you came to Harlem, then you could go to France. If you came to Harlem, then you could go to Australia, Europe. But before you tried to go to the Eiffel Tower, you had to come to the Apollo. Stop playing.
It's so interesting because I actually heard I think it was an interview with I think it was Jim Jones and some other people. He was saying so they were talking about fashion and he was saying that well it was sort of this argument. Some people were saying I think the either the Bronx or Brooklyn was the the fashion capital of New York, and
Never.
somebody else was saying it was Harlem, and then they had this huge argument. So I wonder, yeah, it's very interesting. They were even comparing it to France and Paris. Funny enough. So
Mhm.
that's interesting. Yeah, yeah. And me listening to you, I'm wondering if this sort of stuff was ever captured. Has it been documented
I'm sure it
somewhere?
has.
Somebody like me could
So
go and check it out.
the Schomburg is on 135th Street. The Schomburg Museum did capture Black history, the Renaissances, the multiple different Renaissances, right? Because there's been multiple different Renaissances. There's the jazz music, There's also the underground, like the the hustlers and the people that came up, the people that made something out of nothing. So Diddy's from Harlem. You know, understand? But when his father was killed, his mother moved. When his father was killed, his mother moved him out to New Rochelle, right? But that spirit of the hustle, that spirit of the grind, that spirit of making something out of nothing, that spirit of nothing's gonna stop me. What is this whole thing? Can't stop, won't stop. Can't stop, won't stop. Like that's Harlem. That's Harlem. You can't stop. And it doesn't make a difference. So a lot of things like I was okay. So let me give you an example. When we left, this is 50, we went downstairs to grab something to drink while we was waiting for the Uber, right? And the world has changed. I literally said that the world has changed because in these little jars, they got they actually have marijuana plants in these little jars and it's legal. It's the same thing we used to get locked up for before, right? But it's legal now. So what I'm saying is when the laws restricted the black come up, we still came up. It's different. It's different. And this is why people like Damon John, you know, who I have a lot of respect for from the inner city of Queens. This is why LL Cool J, who I have a lot of respect for from the inner city of Queens, the undercity of Queens, Farmers Boulevard. Like when you come from like Nas, like Jay-Z, when you this is why I use these cultural iconic examples along with an Obama, along with people with different backgrounds, but you just have to understand and respect that grind, respect that hustle. That's right, Damon Dash. Like there's something different, and I get that a lot. Right, when I remember when I was talking with E one time, and we were talking about aggression and how it's misperceived. We've talked about assertiveness and how it can be misperceived as aggression. And we was having a conversation one time and he was like, nah, you don't understand. And I'm like, what don't I understand? He was like, you don't understand because you from New York. And y'all brothers from New York is a different kind of intensity. It's a different kind of intensity when it comes to your grind, your hustle. It's not meant to be intimidating, but man, when you move around and you travel around where people are kind of slower paced and a little bit laid back, you come off as very intense. And I said, let's go. Like let's go. Like that's why we succeed so fast and so rapidly, and we're able to give back to such a high degree. We see things a little bit differently. Whereas in other places, a little bit more laid back, a little bit more comfortable. It takes you longer to see the immediacy and the immediate requirement for you to expand exponentially. When you come from the inner city of Harlem or Newark, New Jersey, or Brooklyn, and the projects, like, you got to get up and go get it. You got to get up and go get it. And you literally eat what you kill. Because if you don't get busy, you don't eat. Good luck. Nobody coming to save you.
Yeah, I could definitely recall, being there and actually feeling that vibe. It's in the air.
It's in the air. I love that song.
It's in the air.
Yeah, it's in the air. It's in the
Yeah.
air.
And you know what's more amazing, Shan? Even for somebody like me, like I'm not from America, but I could remember going to New York some time ago, and as soon as you land in New York, particularly, I think I've never been to Harlem, but I've been to Brooklyn, New Jersey,
Mm,
and also Manhattan. When you get there, it's just a different energy.
yeah,
It's a different energy, and it's like all of your senses become like hyper focused.
exactly.
It just becomes hyper focused. That's the way it felt. I could definitely remember that.
Good, good.
It literally feels like money. Let me say that. It literally like I remember walking through Manhattan, and I'm just looking at the city and the buildings, the high rises, and I'm like, there's so much money here. Like
I'm,
that's like
I'm
everywhere I turn, it's like ching, 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 like every direction. I'm like, what?
yeah.
Like it's just amazing. It's really, really amazing. And
So
uh,
I want to point out something you said. Number one, I'm looking at the buildings right now, right? So I'm looking at. So
okay,
imagine that. Imagine
yeah.
coming from the poorest part. Imagine coming from the poorest part and not having access to it, but seeing it all around you.
Mm,
Imagine that. Imagine
yeah.
being broke in a situation where there's so much money. Imagine watching your mother and your father struggle to put food on the table and just literally walking outside of your house to one of the avenues and looking downtown and seeing all of the big buildings and all of the money, but you can't get none. That's what it's like being a kid in Harlem. You will not deprive us of what we deserve. You can't eat in my face and think that I'm not going to eat too. Not happening. So, it's a real thing. It's a real thing. And I hope that you guys understand the tenacity and understand the impact and the intensity a little bit more now, right? Why we are the way we are and why we move the way we move and we talk the way we talk and we think the way we think. Yeah. Look at that. Look, put that up there. Look at that. Look at that. Now, I talked about this before. Thank you so much for the honesty and the integrity. My mother used to take me downtown to walk around Macy's and 34th Street. She would take me to the money center just to walk around and look in the windows. I used to be sick. I used to be sick. I'm talking about physically sick, racked with anger, anxiety, misunderstanding. Why is it like this? How can people are coming in laughing, they're joking, they're having a good time coming out and we in the cold. Like it's literally like we in the cold. Like we in the cold. We could look, but we can't touch. So if I'm in a situation where I can look, but I can't touch, what does that say about my children? They're gonna be able to look too, but not touch? Mm-mm. Nope, not having it. I'm gonna do everything I need to do. If it requires 2 doctorates, if it requires 15 books back to back, if it requires me going live every single day, all day, if it requires me being online, live, 365 days, 24 hours a day, that's what it's going to take. That's what it's going to be. And you can't succeed in business without that.
Sean, we're about to go to a break, but before we do, I have a question. How would you capture, or rather, if you could capture the essence of New York in one word, what would it be? Like, what makes New York New York?
Culture. Culture.
Powerful. Let's go to that break, Mr. B. All right, guys, welcome back. This is Breakfast with the Brand. I have with me Mr. Shan Raiz. We're talking about culture. We're talking about New York. Just really having a conversation, reminiscing, um, going back. So, Shan, we went back, right? The first half of the show. Let's talk about the present. Let's talk about where the brand is right now, and some of the stuff that we're doing.
So let me blend both, right? There's a lot of never befores. There's a lot of firsts. There's a lot of firsts. There's a lot of never befores. So one of the things that this is first, right? One of the first things that we're doing is the Be the Business to Brand Boot Camp at the Myrtle Beach Mastermind. And people said, well, why not do it in New York? Why not do it in Miami? Why Myrtle Beach? Well, there's a couple of reasons. Myrtle Beach is a vacation and retirement place. Myrtle Beach is where people come to relax. Myrtle Beach is where people come to enjoy themselves. So it's one of like three major vacation places in the US, and some would say even the world. Like if you go to huge vacation resort sites, they'll say Paris, France, Dubai, Miami, Florida, Myrtle Beach, right? So when you come to Myrtle Beach, the place where we're actually doing the event, it's where you go when you've made it. It's where you go when you've made something of yourself and you've proven theory and you're successful, even more than successful. When people go on vacation, if they're able to, they go to Myrtle Beach. So I wanted to bring people in a business environment where they could see success literally outside the window of where we're going to be holding this event is a yacht festival. Like there's yachts and it's luxury and you can see yourself in the environment. Sometimes you can't see yourself in the environment. So when I was in Harlem, I couldn't see myself in the environment. So I know how important it is to put yourself in the environment, to put boots on the ground, to put hands on things, to smell it, smell the leather, touch it, taste it, feel it. You have to experience luxury to know what it is and to know how to, because your brain won't be able to differentiate whether it's yours or not. The brain just accepts what it's fed, right? So this is why it's so dangerous, guys, how you might be on TV or watching the news or watching the next series of whatever it might be, and all you watching is death, gloom, poverty, uh heartache, murder. If that's all you're watching, your brain can't tell whether it's a movie or not. Your brain is just receiving information, and what happens is you begin to attract what you are. So when you watch struggle, you become struggle. When you see luxury consistently, you become that too.
That's so powerful.
It's a higher vibration. It's a
Yeah,
higher
and
frequency.
it's being able to do what we so talk about. Um, when it comes to shifting your self image, your self identity, it's a money trigger, right? Just being around
Yeah, yeah,
luxury.
it's a money trigger. So I'm trying to help people to put them in the environment where they can smell the salt. Smell the salt in the morning, man. When you wake up in the morning, smell the salt. Look out the window. Go on your terrace. Look out the window and see luxury and where you belong and what you can do for 3 days straight. And when you go home, you will never be the same because you can't unlearn what you've seen. You can't unsee once you've seen. Once you've seen it, you become infected with it. You become infected with the bug. I remember Steve Harvey was talking about first class, and he said, listen, do everything you can to fly first class. At least once, he said. He said, don't discount what I'm about to say. He said, do everything you can, put together all of your money so you can fly first class at least one time, and you will never want to go back. What will happen is your brain will create the means and the motives and the motions and the business moves that you have to make sure that you remain in first class, because it's hard to be sat in first class and then walk past first class and go back to coach. Is That's hard. That,
That
brother, I
really
promise
is.
you, that's hard. That's hard. It's like going from a BMW to a Honda. It's okay to go from a Honda to a BMW, but once you go to a BMW, it's like, how do I go back to a hoopty? It's not like you're going to do everything you can to stay in a specific pay grade. That's why I tell everybody, everything you can do in business, you have to create the situations or find the people that can help you create the situations to make 10K a month. 10K a month minimum, because now you're passing six figures a year. And I've never seen anyone hit that number and go back. I've only seen people hit that number and go up.
Shan, that is so true. The 10K a month thing. I heard this about a year and a half ago, and it's so true. It's like, and I remember you telling me something. You said that sometimes when you go to another level, you make your ceiling your floor.
Yes, sir.
You make your ceiling your floor. So that
Yes.
is super powerful.
And that's what we help people do presently, right? So you asked me about the present. So the present was and the present is economic empowerment. Economic empowerment for a disenfranchised people. Honestly. Like, and this really doesn't have much to do with color. When I said deprived, there's a deprived population within every segment of the population in the US. There is a ghetto in every major city, and the complexion varies and changes, right? So I'm very aware. I'm not one of those fools who, oh, black and white, da, 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 da. No, that's not me. I understand social and justice and education and structural stratification, where specific populations or subpopulations within populations are relegated to earning little, no matter what they do, no matter what their education level is. So what we do is we empower people through business and through economics and through this new wealth transfer to be able to become a part of that wealth transfer and actually get some ability to have agility, get some comfortability and less anxiety. Because I was speaking with a couple of people while I was in on the block, and they were we were talking about change, because I'm not the only one, and this is not the only field. People have become successful and they've moved out and they still come back. So I was actually speaking to a brother who had came back because his aunt had passed away, and he looked very well to do, and we were talking about economic empowerment and how we can't change our situation until we change our situation. And once we go out and we change sometimes it takes us changing our zip code. Pin moment, guys. Pin moment. Sometimes it takes us to move out of our zip code, get out of our zip code in order to change our mental code. There's a mental code that we have. And sometimes, in order to tweak or pick that lock, we got to get out of our familiar surroundings so we can get some unfamiliar inputs, unfamiliar information, unfamiliar education, because that creates a different situation, a different set of circumstances called your life or your business. And then the goal is to go back to where you came from so that other people who don't have access to leaving the zip code can actually change their mental code once they set eyes on you. We'll never have impact until we have economic stability. You can't beg someone for a seat at their table. You can't beg someone for a seat at their table. Listen, there's multiple luxury restaurants. We just came from Wolfgang, right? Wolfgang Steakhouse, phenomenal salmon, right? Phenomenal salmon, phenomenal experience. But you can't go and beg for a seat at the table. You can't go to the restaurant and say, I would really love some of that salmon. You guys look like you're having so much fun in there. You're laughing. I smell the steak. I smell the fish. I smell the lamb. I smell the cake. Y'all laughing, the bubblies spinning, and everybody's having fun. Can I please have a seat at the table? They're going to say, get away from my door before we have to call the police. And it doesn't make a difference what color you are. It doesn't make a difference what color you are. Everyone's going to have to leave until they earn a seat at the table. So there's some things you have to learn in order to earn a seat at the table. But once you have the capacity or the currency, I used to think first class was only for a specific demographic. I used to think success was only for a certain demographic. When I was young, my mother used to watch things like The Rich and Famous, and there was no representation of the underserved population. There was only one demographic. So in my mind, it was like, oh, okay, these people are supposed to be successful and these people are supposed to be in the ghetto. And then I learned through education and through business and through entrepreneurship and through striving, you become. And we became. And we help others to become. So they see the inclusivity, like, oh, if I can buy the seat, then I can sit there too. Oh, if I can pay for the ticket, then I can walk in the door. Oh, okay, so you just have to have a suit coat here. There's a dress code. And where there's a dress code, it doesn't make a difference who you are. Obama can't come to a real private club where there's a dress code and a t-shirt, no matter who he is, no matter what he's done. So watch this. There's a pin moment, guys. Please write this down. There's a dress code, there's an address code, and there's a success code. We trying to give you the address code in the B2B, and we're going to give you the success code, Myrtle Beach.
Guys, I hope you took that down. I hope you took that down. You know, one thing that just stood out to me was when you said the mental code.
Yep.
Like that is super powerful because I mean, even with things like speaking, I could use speaking as an example. You know, where I'm from, growing up, I didn't see many speakers. It wasn't a common thing where I was from. In fact, the first person I saw speak was Les Brown back in maybe 2011, I think. But prior to that, I didn't see many speakers, and I didn't really know. Like I thought speaking was something just people did for fun. Like I really didn't know, Shan, that people actually pay speakers well to get on stage, and to me, I saw it as just people just talking. Like, why would you pay somebody X amount to just come up and talk? And but once I saw the examples, actually from you and from other people in your country, then I acquired that new mental code, and it allowed me to shift my perspective and to see things in a different way.
Exactly.
And that's super important because if we don't have the mental code, it's just like success. Like you have to be able to conceive something so you could achieve it. But if you cannot conceive it because you don't have the mental code, right? You don't have the mental code to put it together in your mind, then it's not even possible for you. It's not within your realm of possibility. So now this is the important thing though. Sometimes when I go back to the place where I'm from and I show up looking a little bit different, I then begin to shift the mental codes of the people of that particular area. Um, so this is super powerful. But had I never had the example, who knows, I probably would have never had that perspective. So the shift in the mental code is to me is everything. To me is everything. 100%.
And I know, coming back, and still being in the space of where I just came from, I already know when you don't have, so like I said, we went to Harlem, we doing the photo shoot, we doing the documentary, and we just happened to stumble upon an everyday occurrence. We just happened to stumble upon an everyday occurrence. Young gentleman by the name of Elijah Muhammad. That name is very significant, but a young gentleman by the name of Elijah Muhammad had been killed on Rikers Island. And young black boys and girls, none older than 15, were preparing for a rally. Now, when you look at the person who the subject of the rally is, we're talking about mental codes and we're talking about exposure to opportunities and success. He didn't get out of the zip code. And there's so many people that I know from my upbringing who didn't get out of the zip code and they died in the zip code. Or they are locked in the zip code because they're locked in the mental code. This is why exposure is so important. This is why exposure to mentorship, exposure to coaching, exposure to the right community is so important. And this is why getting in the room is so important. It's more important than getting on a Zoom. Listen, guys, there's a lot of these today, right? There's a lot of these moments going on today. Literally on this call, there's a lot of pin moments taking place. There's a difference between a Zoom and the room. Write that down. There's a difference between a Zoom and the room. So we're on a call and, you guys are getting jewels and nuggets and you feeling the energy and you like, oh yeah, this is powerful. This is powerful. This is powerful. Just imagine what it's like when we're in the room together. And I can walk behind you and put my hand on the table next to you. And you can feel the energy and the heat as opposed to hearing it and wondering what it feels like. So a lot of us, we at this point in time, while we have the opportunity, seize the opportunity. Okay, so seize the moment in the lifetime of the opportunity. Seize the opportunity of a lifetime in the lifetime of the opportunity. Write that down. Seize the opportunity of a lifetime in the lifetime of the opportunity. I just talked about it when I said something about Pan Pan. I just talked about it when I said something about the fish spot. If you can get off the Zoom and get in the room, you'll notice an immediate shift. An immediate shift. Because I used to use YouTube U when I had excuses. And you could say those excuses was, I don't have the money. I don't have the time. I don't think it's more important. But what's real is I didn't have the clarity and I didn't have the discipline and I didn't have the foresight. I didn't have the foresight to understand how important it was to get in the room. So I was like, oh, well, I can just learn from Zoom. I can just learn from YouTube. It's free. I can get it anywhere. It was not until I got in the room that I felt the energy and was infected with the energy. And I've never come off of the infection yet. I don't want the vaccine. I'm infected with the passion for success, and that's where I'm staying. And I'm infecting anybody that comes close to me. And if you want some of that, B2B, business to brand bootcamp.
Yeah, we're gonna put up the so guys, this is the website. If you are interested, you could read up on the details right there. Just send me a message or send Sean a message if you have any more questions, and we'd be happy to get that for you. Mr. B, when you ready?
Hold on, let me say something. We're not talking about a pandemic. We're talking about a pandemic. Let's go.
All right, guys, welcome back. This is Breakfast with the Brand. If you've enjoyed the show so far, put some flames in the chat. Also, let us know where you're listening in from. So, Shan, let's come out, brother. You know, we're about to wind down the show, but before we do, for the people who are curious about the B2B, why don't you tell us a little bit more about like exactly what are we gonna learn, what are we gonna talk about, a little bit more about what that experience is gonna be like.
Well, let me say something, right? Think long, think wrong. Let me just say that. Think long, think wrong. Um, we're going to show you how to go from a business idea to a full life brand. A lot of people have phenomenal ideas. A lot of people have LLCs. I know people who have been certified coaches for 20 years, but never had a brand to make it bang and make it pop and make it circulate and make it solvent. When I say solvent, I mean financially solvent and viable. Listen, everybody listening to me, everyone under the sound of my voice has the three E's: the education, the experience, and the expertise. Everyone here. I went back to Harlem, everyone there. I speak sometimes in prisons, everyone there. You all have what it takes. You just don't know how to articulate what you have. You don't know how to market it. You don't understand the marketing, the packaging, the presentation, the place, the people, the pricing. You don't understand what it takes to take your education, experience, and expertise and turn it into anything other than a well paying job. Hopefully, a well paying job. Some people need to, okay, so let me give you an example. Jalita Robinson. And the reason why I'm saying it is because she's within the community and she's given us permission. So Jalita Robinson was able to double her income inside of her occupation. I don't only help entrepreneurs get out of their job, I also help executives move up in their job or help employees to become executives. And it's the same thing. It's the power of personal branding and the power of marketing. On your job, you have to market yourself. Your resume is an advertisement. Come on, man. If you want to put zeros behind your bank account, if you want to know how to go from six figures to seven or from five figures to six, this is what we do. If you want to know how to make your yearly income monthly, your monthly income weekly, and your weekly income daily, this is what we're going to be teaching. This is what we're going to be showing you. Evidence based. We have done it. We've done it. You're going to get, okay, so you're going to go through, we're going to take you to Wakanda. Business is like Wakanda. It's a little bit wild out here. However, I'm a tour guide. I'm a native. I know the lay of the land. I know where the spiders are. I know where the lions are. And I know how to speak their language so you can pet them and watch them do tricks. That's what I'm going to show you: how to tame the lion in the jungle when it comes to your business, your brand, your marketing, your client attraction model, how to create your packages. No one will leave without a package. That's what will happen. No one, no one. So Michelle D. Clark, she's in the room now. And the reason why I'm going to say this is because it's on the website. So it's found, it's evidence-based. When she came in, she didn't have a package. A lot of you guys, you got the education, the experience, and the expertise, but you don't have a package. You don't know how to package it. If you have a package, you don't know how to price it. You don't know the right people to give it to. You don't know how to position it. You don't know how to package it. You don't know how to present it. So it's getting slim and little to nothing. She worked with us two weeks of hard, streamlined implementation of what it is, how to articulate it. And within 2 weeks, I think she's got 5 closes, 5 clients, and a calendar full up until a month from now. So that's what we're going to show you: how to utilize those 5 P's of marketing: packaging, presentation, people, right? People, the place where you do what you do, and how to price it the right way. Packaging, presentation, people, place, and price. You're going to learn that. No one will come and leave without an understanding of what their package is, who their ideal client is, and what their next steps are.
Nice. Mr. B, if you could put up that link, let's put up that link one more time: Facebook, YouTube, and
Let's
also
take let's
LinkedIn.
take the guesswork out. Let's take the guesswork
Yeah.
out. Let's take the guesswork out and put up the 25% discount. Let's do that. For those who still on the fence, like, oh, I don't know. I'm not I'm not really sure. You know, we love a discount. I'm not gonna be like we okay, but watch this. It's not a discount, it's a preferred rate. Remember what I said about mindset. It's not a discount. We don't do discounts, but we do preferred rates. So because you're here, we'll give you a preferred rate on this. That's the gift. Give me 1 second. Let me go retrieve the link, right? 1 second, guys. Let me see. Let me retrieve the link. You guys, who wants a gift? Put in the chat if you want a gift. Who wants a gift? Put in the chat. I won't put it in the chat and waste your time if you don't want it. Who wants the gift? Who wants it to be a little bit easier? Who wants me to remove the hardship, right? Lessen the hardship, remove the hardship. Make it easy. Who wants that? Let's make it easy. Let's make it easier for us. No problem. Let's make it easier. Just 1 second. Put it in the chat if you want to make it easier. Here we go. And 25%, not 20, 25. Let's remove the excuse. Let's make it easier. All right, so I'm gonna put this on the inside. Come on, get that together. Let's stop playing games. Like, let's get it. Let's get it. Come on out, have fun. Sit on the yachts. Feel what it looks like. Feel what it looks like and see what it feels like.
All right, guys. So we're gonna put up the discount code in a minute. Let me put up the website one more time for those who may not have the website. So this is the website right here. So you want to type that into your browser, and in about 30 seconds, I'll switch to the discount code, so you could get that.
And this is something I want you to understand. I'm sorry. This is something I want you to understand.
Yeah.
You can't do it until you see it. You can't do it until you see it. Once you see it, you can do it. Once you see it, you can be like, oh my God, okay, so this is how he does it. This is how they do it. They acquire this, they acquire that. They come in like this is what they do. This is how the music comes on. Okay, then they come out and they do this for X amount of time. Okay, this is how they do it. This is how they handle. This is how they go from the VIP to the diamond. This is how they go from the general admission to the VIP. Okay, cool. You structure it and you write it down and you're like, okay, boom. Once you see it, you can duplicate the model. But you can't duplicate a model you've never seen before.
And this is the discount code, guys. So it's very simple, 25% off B2B. All right, so we're gonna leave that up there for a little bit of time. So Shan, we're about to wind down in maybe in 2 minutes there about. But do you have anything else that you would like to share with people with regards to this? Um, the conference is on the 19th, so it's the 19th to the 21st. You definitely want to use that. Make sure to tap in. It's gonna be super powerful. Needless to say. But before
There
we
are
go,
there are limited seats too.
oh yes,
We're
there
not,
are limited seats.
it's an intimate setting. We are not Jesus Christ Superstar. There will not be 1,000 people. No one will be stomping you out. No one will be bumping into you. No one will be trying to crawl over to you to get closer.
Yes. All
We
right.
don't do pop. This is not pop. This is not a concert. We don't entertain. We inform and we empower. So you can go back to where you're from as a success story and as an example of what can happen. So you can go back and be an inspiration and be a blessing. So you can go back to the schools where you went to school or maybe got thrown out of school, like in my case, you got put out of school. You can go back as a success story and give the other children something to aspire to, a reason to stay in school, a reason to perform well in school. That's what it's about. It's about showing our children something different. That's what it's about. That's why we do business. Nobody's going to get rich off of like this small event. But what's going to happen is you will be empowered to get rich from the information that you receive. And then you'll be able to go empower wherever you came from and go empower the people that look up to you. That's what it's about.
All right, guys. So if you've enjoyed today, let's put some flames in the chat. We're about to shut it down. If for some reason you still have any questions, then you could reach me, Junior Frederick, on all platforms, or just message Shan Raiz, and somebody will reach out to you to answer any questions that you may have. So, Shan, before we shut it down, one more time, is there anything else?
Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to get on a plane. Who's scared of plane? Who's scared to fly? Don't be scared to fly. Don't be scared to fly. Let's get in the sky. Don't be afraid to fly. And I'll see you guys in a couple days, couple weeks. Let's grow. Thank you. Guys, we're about to have so much fun at the Business to Brand Bootcamp, B2B. Listen, I know you got the LLC, the 501c3, the S Corp, the C Corp, and you're like, well, what do I do with this now, Sean? What do I do now? The empty business bank account, the business bank account with a couple zeros in it. What do I do with this now? You turn the business into a brand, right? You go B2B. Business to brand. We're going to show you exactly how to do that at the Business to Brand Bootcamp, right? But we're going from hybrid, right? We're going from online to inline. I want you to align on time. So we're going from online, in time, and inline. We're bringing you to Myrtle Beach, guys. Myrtle Beach. That's right. Sun and fun and sand with the brand. 3 days. 3 days in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina with yours truly, Sean Raiz. We're going to show you the fundamental basics, and then we're going to explode the fundamental basics into exponential brand development. So we're going to take you from B to B, Business to Brand Bootcamp. If you know how we started, guys. Listen, if you know how we started from the crickets to digits in the midst of the pandemic, when there was absolutely no movement, absolutely no flying, absolutely no in-person events. Guys, listen, that is over now. What you're going to do, what you're going to be able to do is sit with me in the same room. I promise you, it's so much different. It's so much different when we're in person, and I can show you the 5W framework. I can show you how to build your hashtag WON, put the world on notice, right? Show you how to change your attire to match your desire in the same room for 3 days, guys. 3 days with yours truly, Sean Raiz. The entire brand team is going to be there. We are ready for you. We are ready to receive you in Myrtle Beach for 3 days of sun and fun and sand with the brand at the B2B Business to Brand Bootcamp. Let's grow.